right. All right, so we are gonna talk about some stuff today. Let's see. Um, all right, got some stuff we're gonna talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. We got some stuff we're gonna talk about today. All right, we got some stuff we finna talk about today. Now, I was doing some research a few months ago, and I made this ebook. I haven't put it back to, but I haven't made this ebook available to the public yet. It's not available to the public yet. But today I wanted to share with you guys a strategy that I found can legally cancel debt. Now, what I'm going to discuss here today is not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I am not an attorney. I'm not your attorney. I'm not an attorney. So you got to find somebody that's qualified that you want to run this information by. But the information that I am providing to you is 100% factual, and you can research this on your own. All right. So it's no secret. It's not a secret somewhere in the vault that the rain went for. I was doing some research. I compiled an ebook and I made a strategy, and I'm going to share it with you guys today. As most of you know, I've been very busy back and forth in Jamaica, and I have not been live as much as I normally am. But today I'm going to stop by. I'm going to give you all some information. And if some of you decide to join my school community where I teach these strategies in depth, you are more than welcome to be a part of the Credit Repair Made Easy Academy and community. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today is a strategy how you can legally. My YouTube is acting funny today, but we're going to get it. We're going to figure it out. We will figure this out. All right. So it looks like I'm back on YouTube. All right. So there's legal ways for you to cancel it. So, like I said, the first thing we mentioned is, what is it? The first thing we mentioned is statute of limitations. What is it? So, the statute of limitation is the legal time allowed. What? Huh? No, just leave it there. Right? So it's the legal time allowed for a creditor, a debt collector, a debt buyer to collect on a debt. So what does that mean for you? Every state has their own statute of limitations. So this is what I'm going to do. Can you guys drop what state you're in? What state are you live from? Just tell me what state you're in. Drop the name of your state. Just drop the name of your state. If you're hearing me, just drop the name of your state. And what I want you to look up now is what is the statute of limitations in my state? So let's say that you're in Jersey. What is the statute of limitations in New Jersey on collecting credit card debt? What is the statute of limitations in Florida? What's the statute of limitations in Texas? What is the statute of limitations in Ohio? What's the statute of limitations in Minnesota? What's the statute of limitations in North Carolina? So put into Google, what is the statute of limitations? What's the statute of limitations for Oklahoma? What's the statute of limitations for collecting debt in Oklahoma, New York, New Jersey, whatever state you want you to find out? Each state has their own statutes of limitations. So we're going to start with the statute of limitation first. That's the first thing we need to know in canceling debt legally. What is the statute of limitation for my state? So whatever state you're in, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, wherever it is, that's the state that I want you to look up. So tell me what that statute of limitation is. All right. So drop it. All right. Let's see them statutes of limitation, guys. Let's see the statutes of limitations. Let's go. Let me see them. Let me see them. Let me see them. What is the statute of limitations? Did y'all find your statute of limitations? Robin Nicole, what's going on? No, so I'm asking you, go to Google because there's no way I can do everybody's state. So I'm saying, go to Google, type into Google, what is the statute of limitation for collecting a credit card debt in whatever state you're in? So if you're in Oklahoma, put Oklahoma. If you're in New York, put New York. If you're in Pennsylvania, put Pennsylvania. If you're in Florida, put Florida. Right? So the statute of limitation for New 3 years, right? New York statute of limitations is 3 years. Okay, so I'm seeing them. Minnesota is 6 years, 5 years on most debts in Florida, 4 years for Pennsylvania. Okay, so now I'm seeing the numbers coming in. All right, so that's the first thing we do. So if an account, and I'm going to get into the whole account thing because most people don't know that a collection on your credit report is actually fraudulent. Guys, if not because there's a debt doesn't qualify it to be an account. And I'll go into that later on. There's a lot of people with collections on their credit that should not even be on their credit. I'll be going over that soon. So right now we're at statutes of limitation. So let's dive into statutes of limitations. And guys, for those of you that want to join the mentorship, just comment the word mentor. So for the July 4th weekend, which is what we're currently in, I'm giving 50% off my entire mentorship programs. Okay. I'm doing cash money. What's going on? I'm doing an entire 50% off my mentorship. So for those of you that want to join the mentorship now that we're doing a crazy blowout 50% off, this would be the best time for you to join. So for those of you that want to join, just put the word mentor inside of the chat and I'll send you the link. All right, just drop the word mentor. So let's go back to statutes of limitation now, right? So statutes of limitations, it is also called time barred debt. Time barred debt. So that's debt that is barred by time. Okay? Debt barred by time. Let's go again. It is debt barred by time. Meaning, after this time period have expired, the debt is uncollectible. That is the first way to cancel debt, knowing your statutes of limitations. Knowing your statutes of limitations is the first way to cancel debt legally. Legally. I'm not talking no straw man. I'm not talking about negotiable instruments. I'm not talking about birth certificate. I'm not talking about none of that stuff. I'm talking about just plain old statutes of limitations. All right. Statutes of limitations. All right. So now that we've established statutes of limitations being the first, I don't know what's going on YouTube today. What's YouTube? All right. So while statutes of limitations first way to legally cancel debt, we're going to move into the strategy. How do you use statutes of limitation to cancel debt? So let's say that there is a collections account on your credit profile, right? And you live in the state of New York, and it's been 3 years. So let's say you took out you had $10,000 worth of credit card debt in 2020, right? You had $10,000 worth of credit card debt in 2020. Right now we're in 2025, right? So it's been 5 years since the account went delinquent. So you had $10,000 worth of credit card debt in 2020. You live in the state of New York, and that account has been delinquent since 2020. Now we're in 2025. You pull your credit report, you're seeing this collection on your credit report, and it's been there for 5 years. Well, New York statutes of limitation on collecting a debt is 3 years. So the reporting of a negative item to a consumer reporting agency is a form of collection. So, Lorraine, how are they reporting my information, right? And New York statute of limitations is 3 years. Now, when you dispute this with a consumer reporting agency or the creditor or the debt collector, the debt collector or the creditor is going to say, hey, we can report this item by law. Well, yes and no. So let's break it down. While the law does give you the freedom and the right to report the information, the debt has passed the statute of limitations. There are case laws that speak about the reporting of a negative item to a consumer reporting agency is an act of collection. So, using these case laws where they're reporting the negative item to a consumer reporting agency, well, that counts in a court of law as an act to collect. So, how can you collect on a debt that has passed the statute of limitations? You cannot. You cannot. So, by disputing this alleged debt now, by disputing the debt, using the strategies that I teach inside of my community, inside of the university, what you are going to do now is you are going to force the debt collectors to either one, stop all debt collection activities. What does that mean? Stopping all debt collection activities, meaning collecting, attempting to collect alleged debt is a form of collection. So you're going to stop that, right? They can't take you to court because what? The debt has already passed the statute of limitations. If it's past the statute of limitations, it is barred by time, and therefore they cannot legally take you to court. They cannot. They can't threaten you to take you to court because they do not have any of those privileges anymore because the debt now has been barred by time, and you're in a state like New York, and I'm using New York as an example. You're in a state like New York where the statute of limitations for collecting on a credit card debt is 3 years. So statute of limitations is the first one. The next thing we can look at is, does the account qualify? Okay, let me rephrase that. Does the debt qualify as an account? Okay, let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Does the alleged debt does the alleged debt classify, or is the alleged debt defined as an account as per the FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act? Does the alleged debt meet the definition requirements of the Fair Credit Reporting Act and or the Electronic Funds Transfer Act? The answer to that question 99.9 times will be no. If the alleged debt does not meet the definition of what an account is, a debt cannot be placed on your credit reports. I'm going to say this one more time. If the alleged debt, one second. One second. right? Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm replying to my graphic designer. He's making some crazy designs and they look so good. All right. All right, cool. So shout out to my designer. He's making me some really cool stuff. All right, so let's go back to breaking it down now. I'm gonna go back to breaking it down. Like, okay, all right. So let's go back to the collection now. Right, we're using collection. All debts classify or is defined as an account. Not all debts are accounts. I'm gonna say this one more time. Not all debts are accounts. Not all debts are account. The reason why not all debts are accounts is that the debt in question must meet the FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act definition, and it must also meet the Electronic Funds Transfer Act definition of what an account is. The FCRA gives a debt collector the right to pull your credit when the debt is in relation to an account. An account. So the question becomes, does all account? Well, the real question would be, does a debt equal or is defined as an account, or does an account equal a debt? The answer to that is no. Not all debts are classified or defined as an account. And if it's not account, it should not be on your credit report. Furthermore, that's another way to cancel debt, right? Furthermore, let's talk about ownership of the alleged debt. There are certain factors that must be considered when we are talking about a collection being on your credit. First of all, if the account, if the, I, I don't want to use the word account because now that I know that a collection, a debt does not mean an account, I don't want to use that word anymore. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of preview from my ebook, right? So the ebook that I'm giving you guys game from, I wrote this about a month or two ago, and it's just been sitting. I have not published it. I have not done anything with it. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to go over some of the key points in this ebook, right? And I want you guys to let me know if this ebook is something that you would buy. Okay, so I'm going to go over this ebook, and I want you guys to be honest. Let me know if this is something that you'll buy. So I need some feedback. All right. So the first thing we're doing is we're going to force a deletion or get paid or walk away, basically canceling a debt before a debt collector can get paid. So how are we going to use this? We're going to use federal laws. We're going to use case laws. We're going to use arbitration. We're going to use federal rules of evidence. We're going to use case law precedent. There's a few things in this ebook that we're going to use. So in this ebook, I went over a step-by-step execution plan on how you can cancel debts legally. So the first thing we need to do now is, so let's say that there's a collections on your credit. What's the first thing you do when there's a collection on your credit? Can anyone tell me? What's the first thing you do when there's a collections on your credit? What do? You want to cancel some debt. There's a lot of collections on your credit report. What's the first thing you do when you want to cancel a debt? What's the first thing you want to do? Well, you want to look to make sure that the account that don't want to use the word account, that the debt that is in question is barred by time. What does that mean? Is this debt past the statute of limitation? All right. Street sweeper says dispute. Dispute would be the second part. The first thing we need to know is, does this debt meet the statute of limitations requirement? Meaning, is it past the statute of limitations? Is it still within the statute of limitations? Because if 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 the statute of limitations has passed, the debt is invalid. They cannot legally collect on this debt. And that also includes them reporting it to TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. They cannot report it anymore, right? So the second thing we're going to do is we are going to dispute the debt under notice for validations of debt. Why is that important? When you send out a validations of debt, they are required by law to respond to you with all the validation information, right? You can also use what is called a cease and desist, right? Depending on statutes of limitations, depending on time bar debt, depending on if you're going to use the account strategy, there's a few ways or reasons why you can use a cease and desist versus a validations of debt versus a no parking rule. There's different strategies to cancel debt, right? So in our validation letter, in addition to the validation notices that they're supposed to send, what are we looking for? We're looking for contract. We're looking for assignment or ownership. We're looking for purchase and sale agreement. We're looking for free flow agreement. We're looking for a breakdown of the amount owed. We're looking for a copy of the collector's surety bond and license. We're looking for payment ledger. We're looking for what? Account level information, right? These are some of the things that they must provide to you to show that they legally own the debt or they are legally able to collect on it. Is your AI still up and running? Yes, Nolo. Yes, the AI is still up and running. We have a lot of people using the AI. All you got to do, Nolo, is comment the word AI. Comment the word AI, and you should get up for the AI. Now, if you don't see it, if you don't see the AI word AI, I want you to just go to the link in my bio. You can sign up there as well. So, what are the things that we need to know about collections, right? So based on case laws, based on people that actually went to court and won, these are some of the rulings that we've had where collections are concerned. So one of the things that we must know is that the debt must be valid or collection must stop. If a debt collector cannot prove the validity of a debt, the debt collection must stop. And in order to prove that that a collection or the effort being collected is valid, the validation notices must be sent. The validation notices must be sent, right? So if you request a notice for validations of debt and a debt collector sends you a payment history, does that validate the debt? Does a payment history response validate a debt? Does a payment history response validate a debt? Right? Does a okay. Does a debt collector sending you a screenshot of a contract, does that validate a debt? Does the screenshot of a validation, does the screenshot of a contract Does the screenshot of a contract validate a debt? Does the screenshot of a contract validate a debt? Does a screenshot of a contract validate a debt? All right. This is the third time my stream is just not working. I honestly don't know what's going on with YouTube today, but it looks like we're back. Okay. All right. If a debt collector tells you that you owe the debt, if a debt collector tells you that you owe the debt, does that validate the debt? A debt collector calls you and say, "Hey, Darain, you owe this debt, and we're here to collect." Is that validation information? Is that validation information? Some stranger calls you on the phone. "Hey, I'm with 123 Debt Collection Agency. We see that you have a Macy's account, and we are here to collect this debt." What? I'm going to use 12 CFR 1006.34C. As a matter of fact, Mr. Debt Collector, since you want to be so rude to call my damn phone, tell you what, Person 12 CFR 006.34C, whatever address you have on file, I want you to send the validation notice, all of them, to that address. Now, when that happens, ladies and gentlemen, a debt collector has 30 days to respond to you. They have 30 days, right? What if a debt collector or a consumer reporting agency does not respond to you in 30 days? What do you do when they cannot or did not respond to you in 30 days? What can you do? What can you do when a debt collector, debt buyer, creditor, or consumer reporting agency does not respond to you in 30 days? What do you do? What do you do? If the validity, if the accuracy, if the completeness of the disputed information cannot be verified, validated as accurate or complete in 30 days, you by law have the right to demand a deletion. As a matter of fact, without even you asking, they should delete that trade line from your account because invalid debts cannot be reported. Invalid debts cannot be reported because the debt is not accurate. And guess what? Now that we're on the subject of collections, what gives a debt collector the right to pull your credit? This is $1 million question. What gives a debt collector the right to pull your credit? What gives them that authority? What gives them that permissible purpose? What gives them that right to pull your credit reports? Come on, somebody tell me. Nobody? Someone says they have no right. Well, the answer to that one is yes and no. There is a right, there is a right. So let me explain that part to you. The FCRA says that if there's a collection of an account, the FCRA states that if there's a collection of an account, chasing, not just the FCRA, we have to know what part of the FCRA, because if if a debt collector, if you and a debt collector goes to court, right? If you take a debt collector to court, or a debt collector takes you to court, and your argument in court is that the debt collector does not have permission to pull your credit, let alone put a negative item on your report. And the debt collector is going to say, well, yes, the FCRA gives us that right. If you don't know what the correct interpretation is for that section of the law, you are going to lose. So if a let's say I'm a debt collector, right? Let's say I'm a debt collector. And I say, T. Marie, you owe me $1,000. And I'm suing you in small claims court for this $1,000. See, knowing the definitions of what the words mean and how they are interpreted by law will be key to your defense. So if the debt collector is going to say, Darain, you owe $1,000, right? And we're here to collect. And I'm saying, Your Honor, this debt collector is attempting to collect on invalid debt. This debt collector does not or did not validate the debt as required by the Fair Credit Reporting Act, right? Now, the Fair Credit Reporting Act by itself does not validate a debt. So this is how it works. The FDCPA speaks on validation, and the FCRA enforces the accuracy of that validation. So I'm gonna say this one more time. The FDCPA, which is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, 12 CFR 1006. The FDCPA states that a debt collector must validate the alleged debt if the consumer disputes the debt with a validation notice, right? By law, the debt collector has to send the required information called validation notices. What does that mean? If the debt collector did not send you the required notices as required by the law, the debt is now invalid. Making a debt invalid is another way to cancel a debt from your credit reports. Make the debt invalid. If a debt collector cannot prove the accuracy and validity of a debt, the debt is invalid and therefore uncollectible. If the debt collector buys debt and the debt that the debt collector bought they are subjected to the terms and conditions of the contract, right? So if a debt collector bought a pool of contracts, whatever stipulations or agreements are inside the contract, the debt collector must now adhere to those terms and conditions. Most contracts have an arbitration clause in them, right? Arbitration is pretty expensive. So while you, the consumer, pays $250 for arbitration, a debt collector will be the one assuming all the fees, so they will be paying thousands of dollars. Listen, guys, debt collectors aren't stupid. They're not stupid people. You know what I'm saying? They're not stupid people. Some of them are crooked, but they are not stupid people. Why would I want to spend $6,000 to go through arbitration to collect on a $500 account? Somebody make it make sense. I DM'd your team about mentorship and possible consultation.